Dale, how you doing, sir?
Hey,
Thanks for your time. Great run out there. First time in a race car since Darlington. How did it feel coming back to a track like Homestead?
Well, you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I was really nervous. I started to think to myself, how can it be possible for somebody to race in any of the top 3 series without having any laps and not having driven a car in a year? I know I got some laps and I've been around for a while, but I was real nervous. I really was, because you know, and I thought I knew kind of what the driver's mindset might be in these type of situations over the last several weeks, with no laps, no practice, just a lot of pressure. But I really underestimated. It's harder than I thought. It's more anxiety than I would have imagined. And so, yeah, I was a little difficult to be around the last couple of days. Are feeling better once the motor things and learn where it was at around on the pace line. I really felt pretty comfortable at that point, but I worked myself up for the last 72 hours. And yeah, we run better than I thought we would. You know, when that race started, we didn't have great speed. The car wasn't turning really well. But as we would run, you know, then we just would pass them. You know, I don't know that the car drove better as the race went on, but we just could hang in there and make some time, I guess, on the older tire. Nothing like Noah was doing. He was incredible on the long run. But real happy to be able to get up there and race for the lead. Had great pit stops, and pit crew was incredible. But I was happy. If you're going to get in here, you want to do well and put on a good showing and get up front a little bit. Even if you might not win, you just want to do well, and I'm pretty happy with how we did.
Great. Thank you, Dale. We'll open it up to questions. Like I said, the last couple drivers, click the raise your hand tool, or hit me with a message in the chat box. We'll start off with Bob Pockers.
I don't want to give you any more anxiety, but have you thought much about the potential of being in the Hall of Fame with the announcement on Tuesday?
That don't give me much anxiety, Bob. And I'm glad you asked that. I have thought that it might be a good idea to do my podcast at the same time as they are making those announcements. And that's sort of the plan right now, because whether we are chosen to go into the Hall of Fame or not, I'm already honored, and I think it'll be a fun experience to sort of document through our podcast. And even, you know, and no matter who I've said this from the start, and I really feel it in my heart that everybody on that list belongs in there. And it doesn't seem like at this point that there's one more deserving than the other. And I'm young to that respect. I'm young enough to wait my turn. And there's a lot of names on that list there's a lot of names that are not on that list that need to be on that list, and we're all going to argue that every year. But I'm just honored already, so I think we'll document it. If we are chosen, we'll talk about that. If we are not chosen, we'll talk about the ones that are, and celebrate those people.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now go to Chris Knight. Chris? Chris, you there? You're on mute, bud.
Yeah. Dale, what did you think? Did you have an opportunity to win the race on that last green white checkered?
No, sir. You know, our car didn't fire off and didn't turn good enough. So it was worse than I expected, to be honest with you. Me and the 9 went down into turn 1, and we did not go. I mean, my car the front wasn't working. I couldn't get in the gas. Lost a bunch of spots on the bottom, getting pinned down, and it just hurt both me and him. And our cars would take off after we needed about 5 corners 2.5 laps for our cars to really start working. So, but dang, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought I would help Noah if I could. As long as he didn't have a big screw up, I wasn't going to try to pass him. But I thought maybe we'd get third or fourth. Ended up in fifth. But considering how we ran throughout the day, I was still pretty happy. Anytime you get a late restart and lose spots and finish lower than you ran all day, it's so frustrating. But considering this is my one race a year and we had such a great run, it's not too bad.
What was it like to race Noah today?
Not a lot of fun. He was so fast. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed racing Noah, but I knew that on the long run, he was just going to drive away from all of us. I kind of enjoy racing the guys that I don't spend a lot of time around or don't know very well. And I always enjoy racing Chastain. And I certainly enjoy being in the booth broadcasting for Chastain. Man, he gets after it, and I know he can be annoying, but I really appreciate his style because without guys like that, there's less for us to talk about. So if I'm gonna like it on the booth, I gotta like it on the track. So we had a little bit of fun today, and I love racing all the younger guys that are just coming in the series, and it's fun. They're hard chargers. They make you work for it.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Go to Dustin Albino. Dustin.
Yeah, Dale, good run today. I'm
Thank you.
curious, from last year to this year, what are the biggest improvements you've seen within Noah?
Well, I think that he's still got a long way to go in maturing. We can't expect too much, but there's still some moments that I think that he can learn from and do differently in the next situation that's similar. So I want to be honest, that I think that he's very young. So, you try to temper your expectations, but in this sport, you got to grow up fast. And I told him after this race, he's not super disappointed, but I said, hey, you're going to lose races that way. He gets another opportunity tomorrow to do it differently. But I told him, I said, if you're going to stick around for 20 years, then you must have been pretty good, and you're going to lose a lot more races just like this. So get used to it. You got to be able to take the good with the bad. And I'll tell you one thing about Noah. He might get down and he might get upset, but he's so easy to turn around. He's so easy just with a small conversation to right that ship and get him focused again. And I think that's getting easier each year. The first year we worked together, we had to have a lot of long conversations to sort of get his morale up. But that's getting easier and easier as he's starting to get more and more comfortable.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll go to Jerry Bonkowski. Jerry, go ahead.
Hey, Dale, congratulations. With all the nervousness that you felt, will this maybe make you think about doing more races, less races, or are you just going to kind of keep the same status quo, maybe one race a year?
I think right now it's just going to stay the same. I don't want to do any more, that's for sure. I can say that with confidence. I don't know how many more of these I'll do. This might be the last one. And this ain't no tease or anything like that. I'm not trying to be annoying about that. It's a lot of a commitment, and I don't know. I don't know whether it's getting to the point to where I got to decide whether I'm helping things or I'm not helping the team. How can I help the team in other ways? I don't know. I really enjoy it, I really do. But I think there's got to be a point to where I decide to make the change to broadcasting entirely, And with that said, though, being in the car today, I certainly learned a ton that's going to help me in the booth. And I just got a lot of thought. I just got to think about it, and I certainly don't want to run more. One is plenty, and it's getting, it's it's a great series, and you know, we'll just see how it goes. It's a tough. I guess it's a tough question to answer, and I'm sorry about that.
No worries. Thanks very much. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Yeah, we'll go to Casey Campbell with the next question. Go ahead, Casey.
Hey, Dale. With everything that's been going on in the series regarding all the changes that made with the racism and the Confederate flag, what do you think about all the changes and what you've seen from NASCAR in the last 2 weeks? How confident are you with that you left the sport now, but going forward, it's going to be a better sport?
I really have. Yes, I heard you. I had to think for a minute.
Okay.
I have so much confidence in our leadership. They were communicating with me throughout the week with their plans, and I was more. I don't know that I've been more proud of the leadership in our sport than I have been in the last 2 weeks. So I've been doing this a long time, and I've been commenting and speaking up, and I'm so glad that the sport is you know, is speaking up, and the drivers are banding together with their own personal feelings about all this. It makes me feel so good to see a lot of people talking, and I'm just, we've had a lot of, you know, we've had a lot of uncertainty with our leadership, and there's been some changes at the top over the last couple of years. And now when we get into these moments in when our society is looking for change, I love what I'm seeing out of the leadership in our sport to be a part of that change. I like what Mr. Phelps is doing. I think Steve O'Donnell's doing a great job. And so I'm much more confident, I guess, in the direction of our sport with those guys at the helm than I've ever been in a long time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dale.
Yes, sir.
We'll take our final question from Steven Taranto. Steven, go ahead.
Dale, on the subject of guys you enjoy racing around, in that first stage, there were some drivers in maybe lesser equipment, maybe guys we're not used to seeing at the front. Guys like Alex LeBay and Kyle Weatherman, even. What was your reaction to actually racing those guys for position, and how familiar have you been with them and their careers and abilities to date?
Well, you know, this series has changed a lot with the rules that limits the cup drivers' participation, and it gives a lot of these young drivers the opportunity to get themselves into the top 15, into the top 10. Ryan Sieg is a great example of that. And, you know, those guys had some tires that were a little better than ours, but still, you know, I know that a lot of people weren't a big fan of those rules that have come into play to limit the cup drivers from this series, but it's certainly been able to shine a light on a lot of the regular teams and the regular drivers. So there are some positives to it, and that's certainly one of them. I think from our team, we've certainly benefited financially from those adjustments and those rules. And I can imagine, or I would hope, that a lot of the other teams are doing so as well throughout the season, as their finishing position each week tends to be a little bit higher than it had been, say, 10 years ago. So I don't know exactly what the data is there, but it's pretty cool to see some of these guys be able to show their stuff. You know, there's a lot of them out there that are showing they're capable and maybe getting more attention than they probably would have had they been mired back further in the field. So it's good to see some of these guys, these smaller teams, have competitive runs.
Very cool. Thank you, Dale.
Hey, I miss all y'all. I hope to see y'all soon, okay?
Thanks a lot, Dale. Have a great night.
Thank you.